Now, can you guys see me? No sound? That's not good. I'm seeing sound. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I spent the last week fiddling around with new stuff in OBS, and it turns out when I try to go live, it was YouTube that gave me a problem. Something about the live stream I had, it didn't go live when it was supposed to. So, welcome and thank you all for attending. I appreciate that, and hopefully most of you have had a chance to watch the prep video for this. And you all should know that I am bringing on a guest. That guest name is Brian Bomarito, and I am going to bring him in. There we go. There's Brian. And I'm going to give Brian a chance to introduce himself and let you know a little bit about what his interest is in this retro technology and just a little bit about himself. So go ahead, Brian.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I do appreciate it. Yeah, there's not a lot to say, other than father, musician, and tech nerd. That's really about it. Um, as far as the retro stuff, my main interest is the really, really old technology. Like way back beginning of computers, back 70s, the HP calculators that were computers, that sort of tech. Although I have a fondness for Commodores. That was my second computer, and my first was a TI 99 4A. So,
All right. Yeah. Give me just a moment here. I'm still fiddling with things.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of problems. Replace your PLA. Yep, there you go. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah. All right. So, what do we got in front of us today? We've got the three boards that you hopefully saw in the prep video. We have the, someone called it rust, but that's just my color corrections, not up to par. It's golden green back here. This is the C64C, and these two are 250407s out of bread bins. In the prep video, we found that all three had power issues. The C, and I believe it was this bread bin, had nothing coming out of their 5 and 12 volt regulators, nothing going into the 5 and 12 volt regulators, so something was wrong with the 9 volt supply further up the board. This one then had no 5 volts on the main 5 volt rail. So what I've done in the meantime since that video is I have cleaned these boards, and what I did, I removed all the socketed chips because when I do the wash, the sockets have pockets in the sockets, underneath the sockets, where water can collect and not come out. So when I do the wash, I want to make sure that I can get all the water out so that they dry well. So I take all the socketed chips out, and then I give the machine a cleaning with deoxit. So I deoxit all the sockets. I deoxit all the sockets and jacks, the cartridge for the cartridge connector, all the sockets and the power switches. And I do that before I wash it because I don't like to end up with all that residue from deoxit all over the board. So, if you wash them first, then spray it with deoxit. That stuff goes everywhere. It's hard to control, and you end up with that residue all over the board, and I don't want to do that. So I do the deoxiting before the wash, and then I wash the board and take it out and use my air compressor to blow off as much of the water as possible. And then I let it sit for at least 24 hours before working on it again, applying any power to it. So that's the basics of what I've done in the meantime. Now, what I'm concerned about is, like I said, these had power issues, and one of the most common places for the power to have a problem is the switch. Now, because I deoxidated these switches and exercised them, I'm a little concerned that we're not going to have as many problems to fix as we thought at the end of the prep video. Some of these, one or more of these, may have fixed itself. So we'll just check them. We also had, we took the chips out in the prep video and tested them in, the ones that were socketed, we took them out and tested them in the ZIF board, and we only actually found 4 questionable, well, three bad and 1 questionable chip. We had a bad kernel ROM, so I have a replacement for that here. We had a bad 6581 R4, was this one? Bad 6581 R4AR SID chip that just, when you put it in the board, it just buzzed and the board wouldn't boot. So that one was definitely dead. And then we had another SID chip, a regular 6581, that was functional, but it didn't sound good. A lot of the sound was bad in that one, so that one, yeah, I'm considering quote unquote marginal. It may be good, to use for testing, but it's not good for actual use. Yeah, that's it. Well, the other questionable chip we had was the 6581 R4AR from the C board, and that one, it didn't sound great when I listened to it through the headphones and when I was producing the video and doing the post-production on the video. So I had thought originally it was okay when I used it in the ZIF board, but like I said, it sounded a little off when I listened to the playback while editing the video. So I kind of called that one at least marginal, but I am actually considering that may not be the case. One of you folks, I think, what's going on? I'm reading the comments, I'm sorry. Senely is saying comes and goes here. I don't know. I'm not seeing anyone else complaining that it's that the video is not showing. So I'm hoping that most of you are seeing this. Suddenly, I don't know what to tell you. I know I'm looking. I have the stream up on another monitor, and it seems to be working fine here. Playing through YouTube. So I obviously have my production set up, but I have the YouTube, as if I were one of you, hooked up over there, and it's playing okay. So I hope you can get that figured out. Anyway, we're back to the SID. One of you folks kindly pointed out that there's a possibility that this SID might be okay as long as it's in its original board, or at least a similar original board. Apparently, the 85, whatever, I forget the number, the 85 version of the SID, which obviously runs on different voltages, but it also, I'm told, requires different capacitors for the filters, and someone suggested that may be a possibility for the R4AR. So we are going to retest the SID hopefully we can get that far with this board and retest the SID and see what it sounds like in its original board. So I think that covers everything I need to cover for you guys. Are there any questions before we get started? In the meantime, I'll set these boards down and then I'll check back with the comments. We're going to start with the C. So that's what you see here in front of you. They cleaned up pretty nicely. I don't have any complaints. So we're going to, I need to grab something here. Of course, my other computer's sitting on it. I'm going to use a different AV connection than I used in the prep video because this one gives me S-video out and it gives me a slightly better picture. So grab my S-video cable. And my audio. And then power. And what I always forget is to turn on my bench power supply. So I keep, excuse me, making myself think that that things aren't working when I really don't know because I have no power going into it. So I've got the bench power supply turned on. And I'm going to bring up the meter if I can find my cursor. And we're going to test those regulators again. So there we
I'm going to put a wager that this one, no power still.
Well, we'll see. I hope it is because I'd like to have something to diagnose. All right. Get my probes.
This is the only hobby that you'll ever hear. Darn it, it works.
I know. I was thinking about that when I was thinking about whether these might work or not, and how disappointing it'd be if they all just fire right up. So, I'm going to check first the input, and that looks like good input. So, and the 12 volt, that looks like good input on the 12 volt as well. So let's check the outputs. We have 12.06 and we have 4.96. All right.
That
so
sucks.
It must have, the deoxit must have fixed the switch or the socket. It could have been the socket or the switch because I cleaned both of them. Well, let's see if we're getting any kind of image out of it. Switch again. Put overhead. Oh, yeah. No, overhead output. I forgot to put your link into your camera thing for that other form factor. All right. Transition over. Okay. Now we should, I think, be hooked up. Now, there could be issues with my retro tank. It does act up from time to time. I think you guys have seen that with other YouTubers, particularly I think Adrian Black has some problems with his retro tank. But let's see what we get. We're on. And we have color issues, but I think, again, that's the retro tank acting up. Yep. That was the retro tank. This machine is at least working to this degree. which again, a bit of a disappointment. But we could still have issues, so we're going to get out. I should have had these out already. I apologize. Diagnostics, and we're going to hook those up. (1950s) C64s. Yeah. Now, like I said, that was just the RetroTink playing up. Let's see, which diagnostic do I have this set to? Okay, that's full diagnostics. That's what I want because I'm hooking up the harness. Oh, I forgot to mention, I did also go over all the edge connectors with my fiberglass pen, so those are nice and clean. We should get good connections everywhere. Okay, I think that's everything. Let's see what we get. Percussive maintenance. Yeah, I do that a lot. When I get to the end of this, I'm going to mute my microphone because when we get to the sound test, if I have my microphone on, you'll hear what'll sound like echo, and you won't be able to tell whether the SID sounds good or not. Okay, what did y'all think of this of the SID? Did you think it sounded all right? Brian, what did you think of it?
It to me it sounded really, really high pitched, but that may just be the setup, the streaming setup. So
Yeah, that's the other thing. I was concerned that maybe my capture device just didn't capture it quite right when I listened to it the first time. The folks on the stream are saying it sounds pretty normal. Now, it's going to play again. Let me mute it. Okay, so you're still going to hear it in the background of my mic, but you do also see the 6526 at U2 is showing bad. But everything else, everything that the U2 controls, the timers, and all the ports are showing good. Now, if you folks remember from the prep video, this isn't actually a 6526 in here. This is the newer 8521 R0. Do any of you guys know, does simply having that version of the CIA in the board make it show bad even though it's working? Because I can obviously change that out, but if it's just the if it's just because it's a different version of the CIA, I'd rather not do that. Sorry, I'm turning down my little monitor there so you don't have to hear that noise.
yeah, I'm listening back to that. It definitely sounds way too high pitched at the end of that. Like it sounds like there's a capacitor off or something, and it's not rolling off the high end enough.
Okay, I tell you what, let's do. I think everybody here has watched enough Adrian Black to know what this should sound like. Getting a joystick controller out here. Oop. Dropping the joystick controller. Yes, it's the 8-bit dance party. Well, my version of it. Or not. Okay. Could be because I have the harness still attached. I've seen stranger things. So try it now. There we go. So you guys can tell me how you think this sounds. Oh, it would help if I enabled the microphone or the sound from the capture device. So what did you guys think of that?
No sound.
You didn't hear it at all?
Nope.
It's interesting. I think the guys on the chat seem to have heard it.
That's weird.
Yes, it is. Well, like I said, I'm playing with new stuff with OBS. I'm not totally surprised. Okay, I think if enough people are saying it sounds good, maybe a little tinny, like you were saying, Brian, but I think it's good enough. We're going to leave it in there. It's an R4 AR, and I hate to scrap those. So now, I guess opinions on the CIA. Do you guys think the CIA can, the newer version of the CIA can cause that bad in the diagnostics? Or do I actually need to change the CIA? Donald, it sounds goo, does it? Yeah, suddenly you seem to be the only one that's having problems. Sorry about that, but I think it has to be on your end. Everybody else seems to be. Can we try a 6526 and see? Absolutely.
I think that's the best bet.
So warm up the Moo gun and we'll get going. Let me get the
Moo gun.
Yeah, I sort of stole that from Lee from More Fun Making It. If you guys haven't watched him, go watch him. He is.
Yeah, he is. In fact, go watch his 3-part Sinclair Z80 repair. That is probably some of the funniest. That's probably some of the funniest, repair footage I've ever seen.
Yeah, he is absolutely great. Great, a lot of personality, way more personality than I have. And his production is really good too. He's he apparently has spent the time and gone through the DaVinci Resolve learning curve because he's really good at it.
He's also British. That just
He's
automatically makes him better. So
he is also British, yeah. Um, if you didn't see it, he did a wonderful 12-hour charity event not too long ago for a charity that his son apparently benefited from, and it was a great event with a lot of good content, including a bunch of really high-powered guests that he had on, and he raised a lot of money for that charity. He did a really good thing. He told me he might be on the stream today, but I haven't seen him yet. So if he's not there, I'm not surprised. He recently recontracted COVID again, and he's been fighting that off. So, I told him if he can make it, that's great, but if not, perfectly understand. Health is more important than watching a live stream. So, alrighty then.
I've never heard him use the term moo gun. I've heard him describe it as a distressed moo, but not the moo gun. So.
I've heard him call it the moo gun, and I think some of his subscribers call it that because I keep seeing it show up when he does live streams. I keep seeing it show up in the chat. So mark the one I'm taking out so I don't screw up. And let's give you a different view while we're waiting for the moo gun to beep. Which it should be doing here shortly. Yeah, I was looking at that earlier when I first looked at the board because I was surprised that chip was in there. It's possible it was reworked. If it was reworked, it was done extremely well. Before washing it, I didn't see any flux residue, and all the joints are, I'm saying they look almost factory, which surprises me. The reason I say they look almost factory is because these pins, have you guys ever experienced where the pins are bent on the back side of the board? Yeah, I ran into that when I was, I ran into that when I worked at a company that built control circuitry for industrial equipment. If you're using a wave solderer, it'll have a pin shaver, and that shaver, if the blades get dull, will tend to bend the pins over a little bit, and that looks like what's happened here. So I'm guessing that's factory. I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that's factory. So we've got our moo gun ready. Let's see if we can get this chip out. Oops. I'm having to wear headphones for this stream, and I usually rely pretty heavily on sound to tell me when I've successfully got a via cleared out. It's a little harder for me today than it normally is. I tend to just go for it with this rather than adding flux or adding additional leaded solder for the Brits. And then if any of them don't come free, then I may go back and add solder to them or use flux to try to get them out. But usually the moo gun is pretty good, at least this one is. I run it a little hotter than most people do. I'm doing this at 400 Celsius right now. It seems to help a lot, the extra heat. I just try not to dwell too long on each pin. Now again, I'm pulling a chip that I consider might be bad, so I'm not too worried about too much heat going in. But if I were pulling a chip that I was questioning, it might be bad, might be good, normally I would be a little more cautious of the heat.
You should get yourself a pair of those Sony. Actually, they might be Bluetooth. Sony has a pair of in-ear monitors that have a hole in them for the sole purpose of being aware of your surroundings, but still hearing through them.
Yeah, I could actually make it a little better. I have the noise canceling turned on these headphones.
Oh, yeah, I would get a pair of open back and not have anything like that. You know.
And I can switch the noise canceling off real quick. That'll maybe be better. It's just occurred to me I should probably have my soldering iron heating up at the same time as I'm doing this. Otherwise, I'll have to wait for it later. So, plug that in real quick. Ugh, come on, get in there. There we go. All right. Sorry, guys, this is the boring part, I know. Waiting for me to get done with this. Feel free to chat in the background. Maybe Brian will entertain you. Yeah, I think I just had a couple pins that didn't come all the way clear.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I didn't say this, but anybody in chat's welcome to ask whatever questions they want of me. I will answer it if it's not too personal. I don't do this stuff, but I do amps, radios, so yeah. All right. No murder has happened, which is good.
We're just about there, guys. And then I have to go get a socket. I didn't think to bring sockets over. I bought over all kinds of other stuff I thought I might need for this, and didn't think to bring sockets over. The lab is a bit of a mess at the moment, so I have to step over and around stuff to get to my stores.
I'll be so glad to be back in the house where I actually have my space. Because if you guys have not figured out, yes, I'm in bed, and the reason is I have no room. The couch is currently infested by 2 dogs, a lab and a Staffordshire Terrier, and the rest of the house is occupied by 2 boys. So I don't have any room.
I'm just using my little vic-ii chip puller here it has a notch in the end of it, and I use that to wiggle the pins and make sure they're free. Yeah, there's one that didn't go. So hit it with some leaded and try again. Yeah, that looks better. It may still be. Huh. Yeah, that one may still be. The next one moved. I'm just sort of checking that they move and kind kind of at the same time I'm unbending them. Like I said, they were bent over. And there's another one that definitely didn't go.
I hate that old solder. It's such a pain in the butt.
Yeah. Like I said, I just come at it with a lot of heat. Definitely better.
Was this at the time where they were banning leaded solder, or is this still leaded on these?
What you're finding, I think, most times is it's unleaded, which is why it's one of the reasons why it's so hard sometimes to get out.
Yeah, okay.
And you're mixing leaded with it. The new stuff is leaded.
Yeah. I can't remember when they forced everybody to switch over to unleaded, which was the worst idea ever in history, but hey. Ugh.
Probably about the same time they got rid of leaded gasoline, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, that's right. Leaded gasoline did exist. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. I grew up, my dad had a 64 GTO. We always had to put leaded gasoline in it.
Yeah, my dad has my dad has a 68 Chevelle, a 32 Dodge, and a 36 Packard. And I have a 1979 tractor. Reasons. No, my dad took over the antique car rebuild, and I decided I'm going to take over the antique tractor rebuild. So, yeah.
Sounds like a plan. And Dad eventually sold the GTO to someone who was going to do an off-the-frame restoration on it. And I don't know what happened to it from there. Keep going to car shows, hoping it'll show up.
Oh, now Carl is just breaking everybody's stream. That's just, jeez, come on.
Okay, let's see where we are topside. No. Apologize for the noise, but I am going to use some hot air to help out here. Fortunately, there's not a lot of plastics around the CIAs that I could melt. Unfortunately, they're so long, it's hard to get both ends moving at the same time. And of course, I'm being extra cautious here because I got you all watching me and I don't want to break something while you're watching. Okay, one side's loose. Get out of the way. And there we go. One very hot chip. All right, let's see how much damage we did. I think we're probably good. I'm just going to use some braid to clean up. Good comments. You'll have to read them to me. I can't focus on both things at the same time.
Oh, everybody's talking about the stream. Well, we got the stream issues still and rebooting routers. 5 minutes. You'll have it fixed in 5 minutes. And there's car talk. A 76 Camaro restored and then totaled the next day after the restore is finished.
Oh, ouch. Ouch.
Oh.
That's gotta suck.
Yeah, everybody's asking you for the date code on the chip.
The 8521 is a 4886, which is, it doesn't stand out because the rest of the chips are all 86. 49th week, 47th, 49th, 44th week. So that chip is the right time frame. I can only assume Commodore may have had a shortage of 6526s when they were putting this together, threw one of those in there knowing it would actually function. But like I said, I think what we're running into is the diagnostics don't identify it correctly. But better safe than sorry, right?
It's worth taking out. At least it's worth putting a socket in.
Yeah.
At least.
Okay, I think we got all those cleared out. The right little brush. Sorry, this is going to get right in between me and the camera. Are you in? Well, between the board and you, but I need to. Oh, yep. I still have two that need cleared out. And is that? No, I think that's still good. There's a dark spot that I thought might be a break in the trace, but I don't think it is. I'm gonna continuity check it real quick just to be sure. And where did it go? There it is. And it goes here. Okay, still got a connection. No break. But I do have a couple of vias that I might be able to get from the other side with the braid. Where did I put the braid? back out of your way. Okay, that's that one. And then we got one down here. Okay. Yeah. Is that? Sorry, there's one that's got a little bit in there.
Yeah, I've got to basically use magnifying for everything as well.
Yeah, I've got goggles. I've got that thing I showed you. I'm getting old, and my eyesight is going to crap.
Oh, my eyesight's been going to crap since I was 7. So I mean, it's kind of the bane of it. It's like even with glasses, I still have to take them off if I want to see something, or I have to. It's like,
Yeah.
Mr. Landfill, don't go socketing every chip. You're asking for a rip trace or a break. Fix them as you go, socket them as you go.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. Although, if you've watched any of my videos or any of my live streams, you'll know there have been times when I had so much trouble finding a fault that I ended up with a board almost completely socketed.
Yeah,
Felt like,
well, I mean, sometimes you end up having to just because it's the fault doesn't make sense, and you just have to rip everything off. But
yeah,
I wouldn't do it on purpose.
Now, you'll notice I am fitting a turned pin socket. That's all the 40 pins I have at the moment. I would probably put in a leaf, dual wipe leaf socket if I had one, but I don't.
You can just replace it with a ZIF socket. Be fine.
Yeah, did that to one board. You get yelled at when you do that. People tell you, don't do that. It's the most useful diagnostic tool I have in my arsenal is the ZIF board. Just makes everything so much easier.
Everybody complains about everything. It's just like, it's my board. It's not yours. I'm not doing it to you. So
Yeah. Oh, trying to put this idiot. Trying to mount the chip back in, not the socket. Okay. And
at least you didn't mount the socket with the chip on it.
yeah, with a desoldered chip, that's a bad move. You end up with just a permanent socketed chip. All right.
I've seen that. I can't remember what video it was, but I have seen somebody fighting with a chip in a socket, only to realize that somebody before them had soldered it into the socket. It's
Yeah.
like, okay.
Oh, sorry. Keep forgetting to make sure that I have the framing right.
I couldn't film bench work. It would drive me nuts trying to remember where my focus is. Nah.
Yeah. It can be interesting. Now, I've told folks this before, but I'll say it again. When I'm soldering a chip or particularly a socket into place, I tend to use a diagonal pattern that gives sections of the socket time to cool down between pins so I don't melt the socket.
Well, not only so you don't melt the socket, but if you have to grab the socket for whatever reason, you are less likely to grab the hottest point of the socket,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
because I've done that and it's not fun.
Oh, have you ever? I've boneheadedly any number of times and never learned my lesson. If I don't use the little trick I used with the uh, blue tack, try to hold the socket in while you're soldering it, and then
Yes,
solder the pins that you're touching.
yes. Oh no, I've done worse. I have held a pin header in while socketing it, and it actually pushed through my skin and burned. So there were like holes in my fingers.
Yeah, I actually just saw someone do that. One of the guys in the group that I used to be in, Neil, was putting together an Atari Uno cart, and it has a 4-pin and a 3-pin header that go on it. And he recorded himself a video and never yelped or anything, so I guess it didn't hurt him, but was
It didn't
holding the header in.
it did not hurt, but well no, it hurt a little bit. Like it was like, oh god, this thing is stabbing. It's just a pain to hold it. I didn't realize I had cauterized my fingers until I looked at them and went, oh, okay, don't do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my family, we're bad with it. My dad has nearly set a car on fire from welding, so that's our family.
Okay, inspect our work. See what we got. Okay, they all look good. Let's give it a bit of a clean. Where did the brush go? And take that X off at the same time. Convenient. Okay. Grab a 6526. You got really lucky. I actually ran across some of them pretty cheap not too long ago, considering what their prices are running these days. And I still have two. I wasn't going to, but I went ahead and bought a pair of JCIAs. I'm waiting for the right build to put those into.
Do you ever plan on getting one of the brand new Commodore boards, the reverse engineered ones?
I have considered it. I think what I want to do, I had some contact with, I don't know if you know him, BWAC, who has produced a lot of great things for the community. Among
Yes.
others, the Power Saver thing is his. But if I do build a modern, it won't actually be so modern because he's reverse engineered several of the boards and has, you can get them printed. So I may get one of his. Oh, that was surprisingly easy for a roll turn pin socket. Okay, get some stuff out of my way here. Bear with me.
That's called foreshadowing. Um,
All right. So get everything hooked back up. Switch your view back to the wide angle. Oh no, switch your view back to with the output. And
don't they make a lot of replacements for the harder to source 128 and 64 chips? There's just a conversation in the chat about the Neo 128, and I thought they had reverse engineered some of those parts, made them much easier to find.
Well, as far as the 64 goes, there are 3 parts that are difficult-ish to get a hold of. Actually, pretty difficult. The vic-ii, and there is the vic-ii Kawari, though at the moment those are out of stock. I managed when they were in stock to get a hold of. They come in a large version and a small version, and I got a hold of 1 of the large and 2 of the small. Again, those are being held back for the right build. The second chip is the CIAs, and now that Yanni has the JCIAs out, it is possible to get those. They're 35 euros a piece, which comes out to like $40 US. So they're not cheap, and the Kawaris are not cheap either. The small one is I think $75, and the larger one is $100. And the other chip that's hard to source is the CPU.
Oh yeah.
And there are little boards you can get that will allow you to use the modern 6502 that's still being produced. You can get little boards that allow you to use one of those in place of a 6510. That little board produces the signaling that is missing from the O2. So there are ways to get around now almost every, the lack of certain chips on these boards, but like I said, not cheap. I'd like to see.
I heard no FPGA. Okay.
All right, guys, let's see what we get. Oh, it would help if I put in the cartridge. There we go. Oh, we're still running. The clocks, see if they match. Clocks are matching. And let's see if we make it all the way through without that U2 showing as bad. No, we're getting
new pads.
But it says it's on the serial port, so it's possible that I've just got a bad connection here, which, like I said, I cleaned these ports out, but you never know. Let's make sure we're getting a good connection on the serial port before we give up on it. Yeah, Benny, my guess is that the 8520 is okay. It's just not the appropriate, or 8521 is okay, just not the appropriate. Why are we not getting anything now? There we go. I just must have knocked something loose on the AV connector. Thing's a little unstable. It's a board that I bought from PCBWay and assembled myself. Doesn't have a case, so it's not totally stable. Oh, Lee made it. Well, he's only seeing buffering just like Senely. And we're still showing. I forgot the keyboard connector. still showing bad on the serial port. Let me respond to Lee here real quick. Okay. I had tested that CIA as good. See, it's marked with a check, but it's possible it's not. So let me pull it and grab another one. So here's the next one. Now, I did test these out when I got them in my Zift board, and they showed okay. They've either never been used or they have been desoldered very well because they're clean as a whistle. Okay, let's try with this one. If we get the same thing on this one, I'm going to have to check my work on the socket. Same thing on this one. We're going to have to check our work on the socket.
What did I say about foreshadowing?
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
It's also remotely possible something went wrong with this loopback adapter. Aha! Yeah. Someone didn't solder all the pins. Who did that?
Wait, you need to solder all the pins? Oh, geez, I've been doing it wrong all this time.
Okay. Let us just check and see if that does the trick. All right. Get that back out of your way, sorry. I'm always forgetting that when I'm recording videos too. And then I have to throw away huge sections of video because that magnifier is right in the middle of it. And where did the keyboard loopback get to? Anyone see the keyboard loopback? I wonder where that went. Okay, well, we'll expect the keyboard to just be open. Oh. Someone reached through their computer and smacked me.
Oh, did you not put the chip in?
I didn't put the chip in. Oh, some days.
Oh.
Started thinking about the keyboard. That I just found the keyboard loopback. Maybe I can still add it.
Yeah, somebody spotted the loopback. Oh.
Yay! It was the pen that I forgot to solder. Okay, so this machine is now fully functional, and we can move on. Well, that was actually more interesting than I expected it to be when I found out the power was working.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised it was a. Well, I guess I'm so surprised it was a Vic.
CIA.
The CIA. Sorry.
Don't cost me a Vic. Don't do that. Those are expensive too.
I can never remember, like, because what was it? They're VIC CIAs, and then you've got the Amigas with the. Oh, I can't even remember any of the chips in there.
I've never had an Amiga yet, so I've never had a reason to memorize them. So can't help you. I think I remember. No, that's an Atari. Atari
Fat Agnes.
Fat Agnes. Yeah, Atari like to name their chips too. So what little I remember, I get mixed up between Atari and Amiga. So I was thinking Antic, but I'm pretty sure Antic is an Atari chip. So.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, number 2. Now this one I believe was another no 9-volt. There's two of the 250407s, and I'm not 100% sure which is which. Pretty sure though. Well, no, maybe the other one was the no 9-volt. Okay, we'll just pop it on and check and see what we get. So power and probes, and switch you to overhead plus bench, and we will check our voltages. So are we getting input on the 5-volt regulator? Oh, sorry. No, we are not. Input on the 12-volt regulator? No. So if it's the switch, the deoxit didn't fix it. Try giving it a wiggle. See? Nope. Are we getting the 5 volts? Check that. Yes, 5 volts is good. All right. So let's check our switch. Now, if I remember right, The top is 5 volts and the bottom is 9 volts. So let's check the 9 volts and see in the outer pins should be continuous if it's switched off. They are. Let's check the 5 volt just to be on the safe side. And they are. And when on, it should be the inner two. Okay, the switch is good. All right. Our fuse is no good. I thought we checked that. Well, maybe I caused it to blow when I washed it. Anything's possible. Yeah, that's dead. Let me find another fuse. Give me a minute, guys, because I'm not sure where they are in the stores. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab it from another board. Save a little time. And yes, if you're wondering, I have C64 boards laying all over this room. So turning around and grabbing one is no problem. That fuse is good. So pop that back, or pop that in there. Power again. And
chat's trying to jinx you. Easy fix. Love the easy ones.
are we getting input now on... Oh, switch over to DC voltage again. Are we getting input on the regulator? Still no. Oh, yeah. A good connection. Input over here. 1.9 volts. That's not good. Okay, our switch. Our switch is still continuous. 0 ohms. Let's see what voltage we're getting at the switch. We're only getting a volt at the switch. Okay, could mean we have a 30 power. Oh, that was the 9 volt. That was what we're supposed to be looking at. We have a dirty power jack. Interesting. Oh. I need to be... Yeah, I see it, guys. I don't know if you're typing it. You're probably telling me I'm supposed to be looking for AC voltage, and you're right. AC voltage at the switch. Okay. It's good coming in when the switch is off. When the switch is on, it drops to 0.5 volt coming in. I'm going to read some comments. Check the fuse again. Yeah, that's probably smart. Back to continuity, and no, that's not a sound that should be making. I think the fuse might have gone again, guys. You might be right. which means we have bigger issues, bigger fish to fry. Oh, it looks okay, but we'll test it. It is gone, but I can still see the filament. That's interesting. Usually those completely go. All right. Back to AC voltage again. And without the fuse, so without going any farther than the fuse, does the switch work? Wait a minute. No. I shorted when I checked the regulator. Well, it's possible.
There was a pop.
There was?
I think I heard something crackling.
Okay. Well, possible. Let's, I guess I'll grab another fuse. Find the closest handy board.
Okay, so I did hear something. All right.
Again, I'm wearing headphones, so I can miss some sounds.
Oh, I missed the spark gauge. Ah, darn it.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought my headphones were just acting up.
Okay. Now let's just... Oh, had it already turned on. That wasn't smart. Let's make sure the fuse is good. No, we've blown it already. We blew it by just putting it in. If that's the case, then it wasn't my... Oh. Sometimes. Okay, this fuse is still good. Fuse back in. I don't see any sparkage. I don't know if you can hear that, guys, but that is not the way that should sound. Oh, except it's got AC voltage running through it. There we go. That's why it sounded like that. So the fuse is still good after turning it on. Now, I will check carefully. The regulator's input. Very delicately, I'm getting 10 volts. So that's good for the 5-volt regulator. And 18 volts is good for the 12-volt regulator. 12 volts out is good. 5 volts out is good. Okay, so we are getting that. Now are we getting still getting our 5 volts over here? We are. A little lower than I'd like to see, but it's there. So we have our power. And I'm sorry about that, guys. I don't know how I managed to short on the regulator, but apparently you're right. I screwed up. Okay.
Well, the good news is the looks like the fuse saved it. So
yeah. So let's see what we're getting on the output.
looks like a blue screen.
Oh boy. So let's put the diagnostics harness back in and see how good or bad it is. Now, we don't have a SID in here yet, so we will fail on the SID and the control ports because the SID does handle the paddles, so the control ports won't register as good with no SID. And of course, we won't get sound.
Marcus says that it's a little space to work in, and he's done it before too. So
Yeah.
shorting it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Marcus.
It is easy to short, because you could just one little slip and you've just shorted everything.
Yep. Yep. Got a slightly bent pin on the keyboard connector. Line that back up. Cartridge. All right, cassette port. Cartridge. We are, I think, ready. Here we go. Mr. Landfill, cross fingers what? Cross fingers that it succeeds or cross fingers that it fails?
Bad on the, was that serial port?
Control port. The control, like I said, that's expected with no SID in. So.
Oh, there's no SID. That's right.
So we're actually good. We're going to have to put a SID in here and give it a final test. But as you can see, someone worked on this board before. This is the board, if you watch the prep video that had the stickers from the repair shop on the cardboard RF shield. So this has been worked on before, and they fitted it with two of these white leaf spring sockets. Now, the problem is the arm SID has turned pins, and those are not going to fit into this socket. So we do get to do some desoldering and resoldering to put a socket in here. At least we get a little bit of work on this one. My Moo gun is, of course, cooled down, so I got to wait for it to heat up again. In the meantime...
Yeah, no kidding. Thank goodness for fuses. The simplest things on the planet have saved so many devices.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of, if you ever want to see really cool fuses and you don't watch them, Big Clive did a video on a a fuse that has a 22 caliber round in it, so that when it goes, it just forcefully ejects. Good video to watch because he didn't know there was a 22 caliber in there.
Hey guys, we've been going for an hour and a half. Why don't we take 5? I need to take my dog out real quick. So let's take 10 and be back in about 10 minutes. In the meantime, my Moo gun will have heated up and we'll be ready to go. Okay?
Yep, and I'm going to do the same. Take my dogs out. So, see you
guys. Thanks, guys.
All right. Oh, while we wait, got a question for the chat. What was your first computer? Or what was the first computer you ever experienced? I just asked the chat what their first computer was, so that's what you'll be seeing fly by. See, we didn't have the Atari, we had the Intellivision. That was my first gaming, and yeah, my first was TI 99 4A, which my parents got from a garage sale. Ooh, it said workstation. Wow. Oh yeah, yeah. You worked in I've worked in music studios. I worked in music studios from what was it, 2000 until 2006? No, well, no, even past that, because I worked out of High Street Studios when I was in San Fran in 2008, 2009. So, um, oh, Mr. Landfill, Flint, Michigan, General Motors Institute. Okay. Ah, somebody else who had an Intellivision as a first video game system. Funny story. I remember I remember when we bought that, and my parents and I would play it, and then my parents stopped playing with me because I kept winning. So- oh yeah, yeah. I taught myself to program um, from my uncle. Well, backstory: we came from Kenya initially, and I came here when I was, I think, 5 years old. Um, my uncle got deep into computers, and he would get all the Commodore magazines. He was Commodore, and he would give me these. So I would try the programs in the back of those magazines on my TI, and none of them ever worked, obviously, because two different basics. But it, I got so fascinated that I would just sit playing with that, and um, I ended up learning. What did I ended up going into C when I was 10 or 11 years old, I think. So it was well, it was compared to the languages of the time, it was not. I mean, 'cause if you've ever looked at Fortran or a COBOL, no. C was easy compared to those. The frustration part of it is that it was so low level, you had to manage everything. And I think that's what frustrated a lot of people was just managing memory. Okay, yeah, yeah. They're higher level, yeah. Yeah. Um I mean, C is still used, but there are other languages taking over from it. But you'll still see it used for embedded systems mostly, or servers or kernels. I see. I program Ruby, so I would recommend Ruby, but that's just because I program in it. Uh, that demand I'm finding is well, it's not dying, but it's becoming it is losing market share to languages like Go, Rust, Node, um, mostly Go and Node. Okay, yeah. Rust is an interesting language to try and learn, but you're going back to sort of memory management, but not entirely. It's a weird language. Okay, RPG 400. I do know RPG. Well, I know of it. I know somebody who used to program in it. I do know COBOL. I still remember COBOL. I would not even bother because there's actually a web COBOL now, but oh dear God, it's just COBOL is something. It's yeah, and it's still the case. There's a lot of banking stuff still written in COBOL. Not so much Fortran, but definitely still COBOL. In fact, a lot of people made a lot of money in 1999. If you knew COBOL, you could demand what you could say whatever number you wanted, and they would pay you. So, which turned out to be not much of a thing. Well, it was a thing, but it wasn't as big a thing as they were making it out to be. ADA, ah, yes, ADA. Who has ever written in Snowball or Prologue? Mr. Landfill, you wrote in Snowball? My friend went to Grand Valley State University for his computer science degree, and he had a professor that was in love with Snowball and forced the class to learn Snowball without any guidance. They just had to learn it. It's like, really? Okay. 6502 assembly. I'm actually exploring ARM assembly. It would be. Yeah, I mean, I would love to learn ARM assembly, but from what I've heard, the best one to learn on are like the Acorns, the version 2s, because they're more feature rich than the version 12s, the new ones. So what would you would find on the Arduinos? Well, ARM was used in the Acorns. They were used in trying to think. There were a number of vintage machines that did use ARM chips. Oh, that's right. It is an Acorn. That's right. It is Acorns. I forgot. I forgot about that. But there are some old machines that use ARM. And now the Macs are going back to ARM, or they are back on ARM. So, and it sounds like Microsoft wants to do that as well. I actually wouldn't mind learning Z80. And yes, I say Z80. I don't know why. It's probably because I hear way too many YouTubers saying it that way. I'm trying to remember if I learned Z or Z as a child. I think I learned Z. I don't think I ever learned it as Z. No, aluminum. That's it. Hmm. You're not posh enough. We got to rename this. I'm sorry. It doesn't fit. We'll add a U into it too, just for fun. Um, just over here. Yeah, I don't have a single vintage machine, unfortunately. I do not, and I so want an Apple II, but dear God, the prices. Todd, you're muted to the stream.
Sorry, my mic disconnected. You can hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yeah. Sorry, guys. Can you hear me?
No, it's just still muted.
Huh.
I hear you fine.
You're hearing me through my headphone mic.
Oh, okay. We hear you, Todd.
Okay,
Marcus
good.
says he hears you. So.
Good. The wireless disconnected is what happened. I didn't. It's a little green light underneath my chin, and I don't see it. So if that happens again, yell out, and Brian will let me know.
Yep, because I can hear him just fine, so I won't notice he's not going out.
Okay. Socket.
Yeah. You were saying you got a good deal on them. I cannot find a good deal to save my life. I remember using an Apple II to play Shuffle Puck Cafe at my dad's first, I'm going to quote this, real job, where he was doing graphic design. And I would love to have one of those machines.
Yeah, I ran across one. Where did I get? Oh, I ran across a good deal on one, an Apple II Plus, on eBay. And I think the reason for that, it was listed as an Apple II Plus, but it had an Apple IIe top cover on it. You know, those pop out top covers. So I think people were leery of the ad, and I just went ahead and bought it. And it is a Plus. And then I found a Plus cover for it, so it's now back in its original state. But the other one, I bought a lot, and these aren't any of them, but I bought a lot of 64s, 10 of them, from a guy up near Cleveland. I'm near Columbus, Ohio. He was in Cleveland. It's about a 2-hour drive, but it was a good deal on the 10. I think I ended up paying about $45 a piece for 10, and they're all black screens or something like that. So they're all going to give me some fun work to do. I think I'm saving them for a Repairathon next year. But when I got up there, he goes, "Oh, I've got this Apple IIe too. Will you be interested in that?" So and he charged me. I think I paid $165 for it, which for an Apple IIe is a pretty good price. Especially, it's in pretty good shape. I don't know if it's actually functionally working, but it's in very good shape. So I think I got a good deal there. But that's the only time I have ever had in my possession any Apple II. Like I was saying when you guys couldn't hear me, the school that I was in, I was sort of in the middle. The younger kids got Apple IIs for their classrooms. My grades, I was in junior high at the time, and we didn't actually, I don't think, got any computers. The high school picked up. They had one TRS-80 Model 1, which actually ended up being my first exposure to a computer when we went on a field trip to the high school to see that. And then they have switched over to PCs, IBM PCs. The first computer lab at the high school when I first went out there was a room full of 5150s, most with only a single floppy drive, and I think one or two of them had dual drives. And I kind of fell in love with the IBMs from there, and that's when I moved over in my personal journey to the XT compatible. Sort of a junk XT compatible. I think I bought it secondhand, and it was not in great shape, but it worked.
So for me at school, in grade school, I don't even remember any exposure to. We might have had a Commodore PET, but I think that would have been it. When I went to junior high, I went to a religious private school, and there wasn't funding for computer labs or anything like that. And it wasn't until high school that I again saw a computer in class. So
There was only one class you could take in high school on computers. And unfortunately for the teacher, I already knew more than she did. So that was an interesting time. She eventually figured it out and decided, okay, you know everything that I'm trying to teach you, so you write a program, you write a game, and spend the year writing a game, and that'll be your final grade. And I wrote a text adventure game. So
when I was so on that, when I went in, I started at junior college, and I was only there for a couple of years, not even. I went into CS 101, and I basically ended up teaching the whole course because the teacher's like, "All right, you know this. You want to teach the course?" um, That was fun.
I think I soldered all the pins this time. So let's pop out an arm SID and see if this thing works.
And that was the school that got me not into the music school I went to, but got me to put an application in. So,
All right.
oh yes, the Franklins. One of the few Apple clones that Apple could not sue out of existence.
The Franklin Ace.
Yep.
Again, no
Adrian.
experience with it, but I've been watching Adrian, yeah.
Yeah. I remember watching. I remember that's where I saw that they had their own ROM, so Apple couldn't sue them out of oblivion.
Yeah, well, IBM went through the same thing. People were making clones of their PC, but they were cloning the ROMs too, and IBM, of course, had the copyright on that, so they sued a bunch of companies over it. All right.
I forgot about that. I forgot that IBM. Yeah, that's right.
Here we go, folks. And we're looking for the SID to show good, we're looking for the control ports to show good, and we're obviously looking for sound. And this should work. I mean, this is an ARM SID. Unless there's something wrong with the traces on the board or something like that, it should work. Yeah, Marcus, the teachers were not very well informed back in the day. They needed to take the class that they were giving. Okay, our control port shows good. Our SID is not showing bad. And I assume you guys are hearing the sound. I can't hear it.
I can't. There's no sound.
Make sure.
Chat, you guys got sound?
Yeah, Marcus, you should be getting it because it's being sent to the right channel. Or, sorry, Brian.
I figured that's what you meant. You can call me whatever you want, just don't call me late for dinner.
So, did you guys hear the sound on the stream? It was okay. Sounds good. Good.
Okay, so I didn't hear it. All right.
Yeah, it's a weird setup to get this all working together with Video Ninja. And I must have gotten something wrong somehow, but you should have been hearing it. Anyway, so we're all good. This machine is done.
That is 2 boards down.
And 1 to go. Unfortunately, we haven't had anything really challenging. Except when I screwed up and popped a fuse.
Well, the first one was kind of weird. It was failing out because of the CIA.
Yeah, I just had a feeling that was, it's just because it's the wrong, it must do something to identify what chip is in there, and it didn't recognize the 8521. Because all the ports that it controls, everything else was working. It just didn't make any sense that it wouldn't be any good. My guess is that's probably perfectly safe to use, just some kind of identifier wasn't showing up right. Now this one is probably then the one, well, actually I don't know. We didn't get a good read on what was going on with the last one. So this is either this one either had a 9 volt or a 5 volt issue. So we'll take a look. Oh, don't need that yet. So power and go to DC voltage. And check the fuse, check the fuse, check the fuse. Fuse is good. Power on. And that weird buzzing, I don't know if you guys heard that, but when the AC is flowing through the fuse and you test it for continuity, you get a weird sort of buzzing noise instead of the regular ringing tone. But let's check the input of the 5. I've got to switch back to DC voltage again. Check the input of the 5. 10.31 is fine. 19.8 is fine for the input on the 12. Output 12 volts. Output 5 volts and 5 volts. So we're good all along. Our power is good on this one. So cleaning the boards apparently fixed all the power issues that we were having. I guess that's a good thing. Now we are going to need, for this one, because it didn't have one, a kernel ROM. And again, turn pin, but turn pin into this type of single wipe socket actually usually works. So we'll go ahead and do that. This is obviously a ROM, an EEPROM that I programmed in an adapter board, so that should work fine. And a SID, second arm SID. And again, this is the type that will accept the turn pin, turned pins, I should say. Okay, oh, and I did that with the, I did that with the machine switched on.
I was going to say, did you turn it off? And I thought you did. And I was about to ask.
It's so easy to do. I've done it several times. Fortunately, I have never blown anything up doing it. I've blown things up doing other things, but not that. So hopefully I'll be fortunate this time as well. Let's see what we get. We get nothing. It's interesting. Are we still getting our voltages? Because I'm not even getting any kind of a signal, which means the vic-ii isn't doing anything, but the vic-ii was tested. Ooh. Now I'm getting no voltage. Huh.
Check the fuse?
Yeah, just what I'm about to do. And now the fuse is blown. Now that time I did not short the regulators. I know I didn't because we checked other things after I was there.
Yes. And there was no pop. There was nothing.
Yeah. I still see the filament. Is that really bad? I'm on continuity. Yeah, it's blown. Oh boy.
It must just be popping the one of the ends of the filament off the cap.
Yeah. All right. Find another board to pull a fuse from. I'll pull it from the one I just fixed.
Todd does not buy fuses; he just buys boards. That's it.
I do have some fuses. I think they're the wrong power rating, but they would work. I need to buy some of the right ones to put in here. I have a ton of little short fuses, but they don't do me any good with this. All right. Check again. Oh, back to DC.
Yeah, and the video was not hooked up, so
There's 9 volts in, 5 volts out, 18 volts in, 12 volts out. Okay, we have the right voltages now, but we still don't have an image.
do you have it plugged in the video?
Oh, not right now.
There you go.
Thank you.
Well, that was chat, but
Well, oh, and there we go. We've got another working machine. I was really hoping for more interesting stuff. So let's hook up the diag.
well, we can make this one more interesting if you just
Blow the fuse again.
well, no, you can just short the fuse and then start shorting regulators. We can make it more interesting.
Well, I originally intended for this to be a 2-hour stream, so we're getting long anyway. If this one works, I won't be too upset. That's so.
Because I'm just stupid. I've been there so many times. It's just like, what is going? Why is everything? Okay, I'm just a moron.
I get that feeling a lot. If you watch my videos, you know I always make stupid mistakes. It's kind of my trademark.
Well, it's nice when you do make a stupid mistake because then it's like, oh yeah, I'm just dumb. That's all it is.
And again, you guys will have to tell me if the sound is good because I can't hear it, but hopefully you guys can. Okay, verdict on the sound, guys?
Sound.
Did we lose y'all?
We didn't. Did you guys hear the sound? A little popping of the sound.
When it changes volume. That's actually common with some boards. I don't think it actually relates to the SID. I think it relates to the capacitors that are used to help out the SID. So I'm not totally surprised, and I'm not really disappointed as long as the sound part of it was good. But I have heard I've heard from others that there's sometimes popping when the volume changes. So.
Oh, that's right. There is a long chat delay. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. This stream is from me to YouTube, and then from YouTube out to you guys. So there's time involved in that. Okay, well,
Cool.
3 working boards. Do you guys want to end it here? I'll leave it up to you. I do have one other board that we can take a look at that I have never even plugged in, so I have no idea what condition it's in.
I would say let's live dangerously.
I mean, if you guys have other things to do, I don't want to, hold you up, but I'm willing to keep going if you are.
I mean, I've got another 2 hours before anybody needs to be fed, so.
Yeah, Evil, you're right.
Stay a while. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, okay. All right. I will bring up the other.
I unfortunately can't do the voice, but stay a while and listen. If anybody knows where that comes from, you have good taste.
I don't recognize that one, but there is another quote that could be used. What is it? Stay a while. Stay forever.
Oh, no, is that from there's another one. I promise I won't keep you long. I'll keep you forever. That's from Slayer.
The one I'm thinking of is, I believe, Mission Impossible, the game, the video game.
Yep, everybody's saying more.
Okay, well, the last board, where did it go? Oh, there it is.
Which, by the way, if anybody's into metal and they have not heard Dead Skin Mask by Slayer, just put it on in headphones. It is the creepiest song you will listen to.
Excuse me. All right, this is one of the boards that I pulled a fuse from, so I've got to put a fuse back.
Are you going to test it?
It should. I mean, it was in the board that we just fixed, so it should be good. But I'll do it just because, when I flip the power switch off, it may have blown the fuse again. So, yeah, we're good. Okay.
There's a lot of dead fuses floating around, so
yeah, I think most of them are up here in the corner. I'm going to pull this copper tape off because I don't want that shorting anything. And like I said, I have not done a thing with this board. I have no idea what condition it's in. I bought it off of eBay for a relatively decent price as parts or repair. Oh, I don't want that yet. We're just going to try it bare and see what it does. Okay, here we go. It does nothing. So let's... this would be silly. Let's see if it has a VIC chip. It's supposed to. Yes, it has a VIC chip. And what kind of VIC chip? I'm hoping for an R8. Ugh. A lot of thermal paste. A lot of still wet thermal paste, which is surprising.
Oh, your video cable may not be plugged in.
Yeah, you're right. That S-video cable. All right, let me finish cleaning this off and then we'll check.
I've only got a little tiny window down here, down in the bottom, so I can't really see that.
You can maximize it. I meant to tell you that. If you hover over that window, you'll get it maximized in the lower right-hand corner. You can click.
Oh, I didn't know about that, but I want to keep the chat up, so.
Yeah. Well, the chat's technically there in the window if you can read it. So we do have an R8. I'm happy about that. And let's give this another try with the video cable firmly attached. Oh, we're getting something.
Ooh.
Yay! We get to fix things.
I don't remember
Okay.
the computer looking like that. No.
I haven't experienced that myself, but I can tell you if you go to is it Ray Carlson that has the web page with the pictorial fault guide? You see all kinds of. I mean, apparently there are just a myriad of ways that the C64 can be bad and display weird things on the screen. Let's switch over to dead test. On.
Disco.
Yeah, disco. These machines were actually slightly after the disco era.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It was after disco.
All right, here's dead test. Flashing, so we're going to have a RAM issue, but it's
I also saw, yeah, there's garbled.
garbled stuff as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do we have for RAM in this board? Let's give it an examination and see what we've got. So,
Wasn't reading RAM. Okay.
Sorry, what?
Chat seems like it wasn't reading RAM consistently since it was constantly changing characters.
Well, I don't know how well it was coming over in the stream, but it looked to me like it was trying to flash 3 times consistently, but there was garbage as well, and color. The color was
There
wrong.
was the garbage in the
And
it was flashing 3 times, but it was also the garbage coming up.
So, it looks like this machine, the latest chips I'm seeing are 43rd wake of 83, so this was probably built in late 83 or early 84. We have a socketed kernel. We have, of course, the VIC is socketed. Those almost always are. And we have a socketed 7406. So that apparently went bad at some point in the past. Now, to do anything with this, I am going to have to pull the shield. I haven't done that yet. So, picks. There we are. Thinking, what do I use to pull the shield? Oh, yeah. Picks. Not that one.
I love all the old school RF shields. We don't have them anymore, but everything had RF shields back in the 80s. It's like
everything.
Put it in the car.
Yeah. Everything's microwave these days, so the frequencies don't match, so they don't really matter much anymore. I usually throw them away. I've still got the shields from the 3 machines we just worked on. I haven't tossed them yet, but I probably will. And I think, though, I'm probably going to put back. You didn't see it, Brian, if you didn't watch the prep video, but one of those machines, one of those machines had stickers apparently from a repair shop with a date and a set of initials. And because of that, I'll probably put that cardboard shield back.
I think I saw that. I watched a tiny bit of it, but not all of it. I did see that though.
Yeah.
I started to watch it and then went, nope. I want a surprise.
Well, Evil, that's probably right, but with the scrambling, the VIC actually could have a problem. It might not be successfully reading the memory or converting it, into the right characters based on the character ROM. Of course, it could simply be the character ROM. my little pine saw, sometimes if you're trying to heat up too large a plane, which everything here is on the ground plane, it shuts itself down because it goes into thermal runaway. So I keep having to reset it.
Get a my best advice, like, and this is my advice for anybody who gets into electronics, get a good soldering, like a soldering gun, not one of those, but the actual guns, because those things pump so much heat that you can hit ground planes really easily.
Well,
I work in amps, and sometimes you need it because you are not soldering to that chassis. You're unsoldering without desoldering without a gun. There's no way.
yeah, I get where you're coming from. I have an old Weller soldering station that pumps out a lot of heat. The problem with that one is it's not variable because it's so old. So I actually have thought about getting a decent Weller soldering station with temperature control because I like the Wellers. They're good. Those are what we used when I worked at the company I mentioned with that built industrial control circuit boards.
Wellers are good. I think my first soldering gun was a Weller. I've moved over to the little, at least for finer work, I've moved over to those cheap, the cheap, thin little things that the thin power supplies that take the T12s.
Yeah, I bought this Pine-Sol on kind of Adrian Black's recommendation. He's been using a TS100 or something like that. He's been using that for a long time, and it's basically the same form factor. Even uses the same tips, but someone sent him a Pine-Sol and he liked it. And when I rebuilt my lab here, like I said, I had the Weller station, which wasn't variable, so I wanted to get a variable temperature soldering iron. And these are like, I don't know, I remember what it was, like $39, $40, something like that. And it's served me well for all these months. So, hey.
Yeah, I mean, I think the two I bought, well, I can't even remember what brand they are, but the nice thing about them is they're instant on, so I can just leave it and it'll just shut itself down, and as soon as I pick it up, it's heated. It's
Yeah.
just like boom, and they're cheap Chinese knockoffs, but they work. And they were like $50 a piece, and they stack, so I can have two of them on the bench.
How did I do that? Went right past one of them.
I will be right back.
Okay. Okay. All right, let's have a look over the board. The memory are it's an F logo. An F between two lines, one above, one below. I've seen that, but I can't remember the name of the company. Anyway, they're all the same. None are MT. I do not see any MOS branded logic, so we're good there. Slice myself on that shield. Okay, these chips are a form factor that I'm not going to be able to try piggybacking because the pins on the top chip wouldn't reach the pins on the bottom one. So, wow. Okay. What is... look this up. Anybody know off the top of your head what 3 flashes means on a 250407? Commodore. Oh no, dead test. Hey Donald, looks like Sentinel may have some spare oscilloscopes that he might be able to send you on. Oh, come on. Yeah. Do it up here then. Trying to pull up the manual for the dead test cartridge so I can see what 3 flashes means. Give me a second. Three flashes. Oh, U11. Okay, U11 is him. So he's my first suspect. Reheat the moo gun. Actually, you know what? The PLA is my first suspect. With problems like that, so weird, color and bad characters and RAM flashing, the PLA is actually my first suspect. So I think we will go ahead and pull the PLA first. You guys agree? We're still waiting for
the PLA.
It's always the yeah.
It's always the PLA.
Always the PLA. What brand is that RAM? I'm not sure what the company is. It's the logo is an F, letter F, with a line above it and a line below it. I've seen that logo before. Is that for? That's not Ferranti, is it? Ferranti's an Italian company. I wouldn't think that they'd be making the RAM on C64s. I could be wrong. Test the PLA and the VIC and the ZIF board. It sounds like a good idea. So we're just about heated up. I'd go ahead and start, but the one truly annoying feature of this desoldering iron is that it reaches 400 degrees and then it still makes you wait about a minute, 30 seconds or a minute before it is ready. And until it's actually ready, it won't let you activate the pump. So I gotta wait for those 4 nice long beeps.
Yeah, it could be Fujitsu.
Yeah, that's possible too.
I
Like I
think
said,
that might
I
be.
know I've seen that logo. I just can't think of who it was. I'm just glad the little letters MT were not anywhere on those
Yeah.
chips.
At that point, it would be always the RAM.
Yes. Yeah. Beep 1, 2, 3. I thought it was 4 beeps. Oh well. Here we go. There's the advantage of doing the recorded videos for you guys is that I can fast forward you through these boring bits.
The Moo gun is never boring.
Well, at least mine doesn't moo quite as loud as a lot of other people's. This is just a cheap. The brand name is Yihua. Got it off of Amazon cheap, and it has served me so well since I bought it. You know, a lot of people are always talking about how good the Hako is. This thing works great.
Apparently, the new Hakos, the tips jam really easily because it's a very short barrel. So people griped about the new ones.
Well, I had a lot of problems early. Oh, that one didn't go. I had a lot of problems early on with the tip jamming in this, but I think that was down to the fact that I wasn't cleaning it often enough. So I try to remember now to clean it more frequently.
I do not own a Moo gun because everything I work with is typically still the old school, point to point. So no point for it.
Yeah.
I can never understand transistors. Vacuum tubes, yeah, I'm fine with, but transistors, nope, I won't touch them.
I admit my brain doesn't want to. Every time I read, how a transistor works things or watch a video, 2 minutes later I've forgotten it all. For some reason, that particular bit of information won't stick in my brain.
Yeah, I've never. I know that they're like vacuum tubes and they work very similarly, but vacuum tubes make sense to me. Transistors, nope. They do not. when my dad was in Vietnam, he had a couple of friends that they would take old tube radios and convert them to completely transistor radios.
Yeah, it's a lot less power draw.
Yeah, I just sitting here going, how would you? Well,
I suppose if like I said, if you understand them and then you know the characteristics of the tube, you can probably find a transistor that has the same characteristics. I could never keep it all straight in my head. Like I've mentioned before, and it's true. I'm not the greatest with the analog side of things. I'm much better with the digital side of things, and I think Adrian Black says the same thing. He's much better with the digital than the analog. So I figure I'm in good company.
digital starts to get weird too. Like I mean, you just get into all the weird, uh, just the logic alone in the digital side. It just starts to get weird. It's fascinating, but
I guess I've kind of always been a logical person, so it's maybe a little easier for me than it is for some to follow the logic. Math's always been my strong suit.
I'm sure if I sat down and really studied it, I could get it. But
Yeah, well,
it's a
it is logical. So as long as what you're thinking follows logic, you're probably all right.
yeah, but it's just finding time. It's
Yeah.
like two kids, two dogs, a cat, a farm. Where's the time? There's no time.
Okay. I'll see. That's much
Dogs are
easier than
potential guinea pigs.
That's much easier than desoldering. Ziff board, ziff board, ziff board. And guess what I pulled out of that? The fuse.
A fuse.
So I'm gonna have to get a fuse for it. See if I can find any of those other fuses. I think I have a drawer marked fuses, but where the drawer is. Oh, there's a drawer. And I have the right physical size. Let's see what the rating is on this. Oh, that's the right rating. So this should get us working. All right. Let's first make sure we're still working as is. And we are. Good. So vic-ii. Still got a little thermal.
Circuit breaker. Or you could build, a circuit breaker. You could build one of those. It's a glass slinger here on YouTube built an electronic fuse breaker, and you could set how many cycles it would go and how many amps it would take before it popped. Very cool device.
Not that it would matter, but I've got still got some thermal compound on these legs, so I'm trying to clean that off. It's not supposed to be conductive, but sometimes I don't trust that. VIC-2. How are we doing? We have a good VIC-2. All right. That noise is me shaking up my paint pen. So our VIC-2 is good. My original back. Okay. Now the PLA. Anyone want to take bets?
I bet the PLA is bad.
Yeah. PLA is bad. Let's see by chance if it's bad in exactly the same way as it is on the other board. Put the dead test back in. Oh, come on.
Should build a case for, make a case for that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's got dip switches and the jumpers.
Oh, right. Well, you could make removable.
Yeah. Well, it's flashing 1, so it's definitely the PLA is one of the issues. So this guy gets an X. He's dead. No surprise there. But I'm betting that's still not the whole problem.
Nope.
So fit a socket. I need to grab another 28 pin socket. Oh, what?
Deader than a toddler in a plastic bag factory. Copyright Shango 6066. I love Shango so much. I don't know if you've ever watched Shango, Todd, but
no, I haven't.
He does resurrections of different like TVs, radios, and he just like pushes every boundary that he can just to annoy YouTube, I think. He's fun to watch. And I'm melting. Okay.
Should have put you on the better view.
Do you use flux with your wick?
No, because my oh, maybe I should be. The wick I used to use had flux in it. This one doesn't. Wait a minute, it's got to, because there's flux residue coming out. There's flux in this.
See, I've always found even if it does have flux, like if I add flux, it works so much better. Because I used to hate solder wick with a passion, but once I heard that, oh, try using flux with it. Yep.
I only use it for cleaning, basically. I never use it to try to desolder anything. Maybe if I did that, I would probably use some additional flux with it. I have maybe it's a bit of OCD. When I leave flux residue all over a board, it drives me nuts. So when you only have the little bit that's in the wick, it's a little easy clean. Whereas if you squirt a bunch on there, ah!
Evil and Miss Reinfeld both had flux.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a preference thing, and I usually manage fine without it. Like I said, if I were to try desoldering a chip or something with wick, I would probably add some because you're trying to do more work with it that way. This I'm just trying to clean up the vias.
Flux to the tip of my iron. Never done that. I mean, I get where you're coming from. You just leaving a residue that you have to clean up at the end of it.
Yeah, and then if you forget, the next person that sees the board thinks, "Oh, this guy was a mess. He was a pig." Because
Never
I
got
think
lucky with wick.
sometimes you just have to use any method. I mean, you've seen me. I've used wick. I've used hot air. I've done the chop. I've done the chop a pin or chop the pins off a chip to get one out. Whatever works. I don't really have methods that I invariably stick to. I just do whatever works in a given situation.
Yeah. Well, that's everything in life. Whatever works. Yeah, SMD soldering, I have never. Oh no, no.
I've only done a little bit. I had the video where I built the TZX Duino. That was SMD, and for my TRS-80 Color Computer 3, I built. I got an RGB to HDMI, but the analog board for that only has enough comparators to do. I think it's up to 8 bits, and the Coco has more bits than that. So you have to add an extra comparator, and that's a little SMD chip. So I had to do some SMD for that. That's really all the SMD I've ever done.
Yeah, I don't enjoy doing it. It's not. I mean, if you have the right tools, because I've watched other YouTubers who make products and they do all their own SMD, and they've got the stencils and they got the paste and everything. If you've got all that, okay, but trying to do it by hand,
Yeah,
even with hot air, nope.
that's the other problem with doing YouTube videos on it. However you do it, you're going to get roasted, and I did. Oh, you should have done this. Oh, you should have done that. You should have used solder paste. You should have done. It's like, I don't need that. So I probably won't do too much more SMD on the channel. I may do it for my own use, but
That's the thing about YouTube. Like again, it's going back to you're doing it. You are doing it. How you do it is how you do it. It's not.
yeah.
I mean, I get that people want to help. I understand that, but you can be helpful and or you can be annoying. There's
Yeah, it's I don't mind when someone tells me, here's I saw your video. Here are some suggestions that you might find useful. That I don't mind.
exactly
It's when you get the ones that say you did it wrong. Here's the right way. Well, I'm telling
right.
you, there ain't always a right way. A one right way. Like we were saying earlier, whatever works. Um,
Yeah,
so I get defensive when someone tells me they have the right way and I did it wrong. You may be right. You may be right that I'm doing it wrong and there is a better way, a right way. But just don't come at me like that,
yeah. I mean, I've had friends say, because I do recordings, right, and recording sessions, and they're like, you should post how you do it. You should put them up on YouTube, and I'm like, no, because somebody's gonna tell me I'm doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I've only been doing this for how many decades? No.
Well, I haven't been doing that. I dabbled with electronics as a kid. I never really got that deeply into it. And when I was building circuit boards, it was a matter of placing the parts and sending them through a wave soldering machine. So I didn't learn a lot there. But
Right.
so I know that I'm probably doing things wrong, and I've got plenty to learn, and I have no problem with someone offering me suggestions, hints, help. It's just how you present it when you do that bugs me sometimes. And it's just don't come at me all aggressive. And I did have a kind of a blowout with one guy early on in my YouTube career who was doing that and just would not accept that. Okay, I'm taking your advice, but just don't come at me that way. And he was looking to make trouble, I'm pretty sure, and he managed to do it. So when I get a comment like that, I may say, I'm feeling a little defensive because of the way you came at me, but otherwise I really don't engage with those people anymore. I try to engage with everybody. I like hearing from you folks, and a lot of you on the channel or on the stream right now know when you comment, I almost always comment back. So I love the engagement with folks. I just don't like confrontations. I'm not good with that.
Yeah, exactly. There's a right way to go about it. There's a wrong way to go about it. And you should learn the right way because it's useful in everyday life.
Yep.
You don't go up to somebody and say, "What, you're doing that wrong." No, no, it doesn't. Not on YouTube and not in life. It doesn't end very well.
Yeah. Okay. We'll try it first. We'll try it first without the dead test. Oh, gotta have a Vic. Oh.
I just got that. Okay.
Yeah.
No. We got
There's
a
yeah.
grammar. We got a
Yeah.
grammar Nazi.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, Jesus.
Look at that. It was the PLA.
Surprised?
All right. Well, I'm not surprised. I'm surprised nothing else was wrong. I'm not
Well,
surprised
that's
the
what I
PLA.
mean. I'm surprised it was just the PLA. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Give it a test run.
This set will probably be bad too. So we'll probably have more work to do. Ooh. Keyboard connector's a bit mangled. All right. And where'd the cartridge go? There it is. We set this to diagnostics. Off, on, off, on. And back to ROM high. Okay. And here we go. I'm going to turn up the volume on my little screen here so that I can hear if this is working this time. the SID works.
Yeah,
What do you know?
it sounds good.
Yep. Well, that's 4 boards we managed to fix today. All right, guys. I don't have any more sitting around broken, apart from the 10, and they would require me to open the cases and pull them out and everything. So that's a lot of time that you guys don't need to spend watching me do that. So we're done with the repair work for today. If you guys want to stay on the chat, I'll leave this thing open. If anyone wants to go, you're welcome. And I appreciate you all watching. If you're on here and you haven't already subscribed, please do so. I appreciate that. If you enjoyed the stream, you could give it a like. That helps too. Typical YouTube yada 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 at the end of a video. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. And Brian, a special thanks to you. You were very helpful, keeping things lively while I was doing tedious tasks.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I had a lot of fun, and you have a good group here. So thank you guys for being an awesome group of individuals.
All right. Like I said, I'll keep this open for a while if people want to continue chatting until I stop seeing anyone typing. But everybody have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, thank you, Marcus. See you guys.
See you guys.